Newcastle United are open to cashing in on Bruno Guimaraes for less than the release clause written into his St James Park contract. Highlights: Newcastle United have agreed to entertain bids which fall short of Bruno Guimaraes' release clause after holding discussions with the Brazilian. The Magpies will be left powerless if the defensive midfielder's suitors put £100 million on the table during a predetermined time period. Respected journalist Ben Jacobs understands that Arsenal, Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain are aware of Guimaraes' situation on Tyneside. Newcastle United star Bruno Guimaraes has reached a verbal agreement which could see him leave St James Park for a lower figure than the release clause written into his contract. And journalist Ben Jacobs has told Givesport that it has resulted in suitors being put on red alert, although the Brazil international has become one of the first names on the team sheet since his £40 million arrival from Lyon in January 2022. Magpies head coach Eddie Howe is being forced to come to terms with the possibility of a departure being on the cards when the summer transfer window opens for business. Chief executive Darren Eales has already conceded that Newcastle may have no option but to cash in on some of their prized assets due to fears of breaching the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, and a host of clubs are queuing up to land Guimaraes ahead of the 2024-25 campaign. Admirers will have to be quick to trigger Guimaraes' release clause. Admirers will only have the opportunity to take advantage of Guimaraes' £100 million release clause for a brief period, according to transfer expert Fabrizio Romano, as it becomes active during the last week of May and expires at the beginning of the final week of June to give Newcastle adequate time to source a replacement if he heads through the exit door. The Italian journalist suggests that the Magpies would have total control of potential negotiations if suitors make a move during the latter stages of the summer window for the defensive midfielder, who has only missed one fixture this season, and statistics highlight that his departure would come as a major blow to the Tyneside Giants. Although the release clause is in place, Arsenal and Manchester City have been made aware that Newcastle are open to offers in excess of £80 million for Guimaraes, while reigning League One champions Paris Saint-Germain are among the clubs looking to lure him away. From the Premier League. Givesport sources recently revealed that the 26-year-old is firmly on Manchester City chief Pep Guardiola's radar as the former Barcelona and Bayern Munich head coach is scouring the market for midfield reinforcements ahead of Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva's potential exits. Ben Jacobs' public investment fund will allow Guimaraes to leave for right fee. Jacobs understands that the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, who led a £305 million takeover of Newcastle in October 2021, will accept an offer which falls below the release clause written into Guimaraes' contract if they believe it is a suitable fee and there is a structure to the terms which meet their demands. Although the respected journalist is aware that the South American has no interest in pushing for a fresh challenge away from Tyneside, having settled in his current surroundings. Premier League title chasers Arsenal and Manchester City, along with Champions League semi-finalists PSG, have noticed a potential opportunity to pounce for his services, Jacobs told Givesport. Bruno Guimaraes is very respectful of Newcastle and is very happy at the club, so I wouldn't expect him to be forcing anything through, but the release clause is there and, if triggered, it is up to the player. Ultimately, Newcastle know that and have to some extent, prepare for that because the mechanism for an exit is easier than in the case of Alexander Isak. It is believed that there is a verbal agreement that they will listen to offers lower than that release clause under the right circumstances and structure. Arsenal are aware of this with Guimaraes, as are Manchester City and PSG. Friedman pinpointed as candidate to replace Ashworth. Dougie Friedman has emerged as a contender to replace Dan Ashworth as Newcastle's sporting director, according to Mail Online, and the Crystal Palace recruitment chief's domestic experience has made him an attractive option after Odgers Berntsen were tasked with sourcing candidates. The report suggests that the Scotsman has worked his way onto the final list of names in the running to head to St James Park, but reputable journalist Jones recently told Givesport that he is also being pursued by Manchester United after he has been wanted at Old Trafford by iconic boss Sir Alex Ferguson for a prolonged period.